Hello world! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned into another live recorded edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Your daily dose of not just the news, but answers that you can use. Like an answer to the question, Chris, is the only bonus I get for becoming one of your super nomies and pledging $2 a month, is that only bonus watching you live? No, that's just one bonus of like dozens. Like you get access to everything that I've done. Everything. All the Q&As, those are separate videos. All the videos that I've done that are streamed behind the scenes. You get the hangouts, everything. Past and present. Not just the live stuff. Thank you for your support at chrispirillo.com. Today is Friday, so I am recording an AMA. But before I get into the AMA, I'm always reminded of Anne Amelmahay. AMA? Am I the only one who remembers wasn't it Anne Amelmahay? Wasn't that her last name? Amelmahay? Am I the only one who remembers that? Alright, okay, so are you going to ask me what the hell I'm talking about? Google it. Or Bing it, if you want. Dogpilot, DuckDuckGo it. I don't care what search engine you choose to use. Look up Amelmahay. I want to say it was Anne. Today is Pac-Man's 35th birthday. Wagga, 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 wagga. This is the Pac-Man Yahtzee game. Love this little Pac-Man. I've been featuring all sorts of Pac-Man goodies on the LockerGnome Twitter account at LockerGnome. You should be following them. And also on LockerGnome.com, I posted this morning the roundup that I tweeted out yesterday. 7 secrets. You like where I'm going with this already? Yeah, I'm spilling the secrets, but not spilling what's in the secrets necessarily. This is going to make sense to you as soon as you see this. 7 secrets that nerds use to party. Because yes, nerds party. Did you know this? Like when nerds are ready to party, they grab their Pac-Man Yahtzee and they, woo! Yeah, I'm going to play Yahtzee! But let's just say, for argument's sake, that these nerds are walking into a place that does not allow them to bring in drinks. What are you going to do? Well, you could use these particular products that I found. This is pretty awesome. So this is Drunk Hunt. Do you see this? Drunk Hunt. It looks like an old NES cartridge, if you can see it. And it's a flask. So you can put any kind of liquid inside. Drunk Hunt, right there. Beautiful. Then there's this, the Arctic Fox. You know those ice packs that you'd throw into a cooler? Well, this is like a faux ice pack. Don't confuse this with the real one, though. But it will allow you to actually bring drinks inside. Your own drinks of any kind, if you want. Then they have these. These are fake tampons, which I believe is pretty much a sign of the apocalypse. Fake tampons that you might be able to carry around with you, and you put drinks inside. So, you know, you want to bring in drinks to a place that normally doesn't allow you to bring in beverages like that. You can with these tampon flasks. This is a smartphone flask. It looks like a smartphone. Yeah, you look at that? Yeah, but it's actually a flask. So you can pour liquid in and then drink it out. Like, you know, there's an app for that. You can play the app drinking game. That product exists. You can get it right now. Binoculars. You've heard of beer goggles? You know, binoculars are supposed to help you see. But if you put the right alcohol in these binoculars, you're probably going to be seeing double. Then, let's say you're going to the beach, and you want to bring some drink with you, and you don't know how to sneak it past everybody. You can. See that little bottle? It looks like a SPF 30. It's actually probably 30 proof. Ah, look at that. It's genius. These are secret ways for you to get drinks into wherever you want to get drinks into. Now, I would not probably be inclined to wear the wine rack. But if you were looking for a sports bra that happened to give you the ability to sip liquid from inside the bra, the wine rack may be it for you. Now, I could probably encourage my wife, Diana, to wear this, you know, on outings. Like, oh, hon, can I sip? You know, I need a sip. Can I sip? It'd be polite. You got to ask. You can't just start, you know, grabbing random hoses on your wife and sucking. You gotta ask. There's the wine rack. That's that for you. Is that not geeky? And then I wrapped it up with what I started with. The Drunk Hunt cartridge. Beautiful. That roundup was shared yesterday in social and is available right now at LockerGnome.com. The title of the video, 7 secrets that nerds use to party, if I can talk through it. Deals.lockergnome.com. We got some new stuff for you, including the M535 wireless optical mouse, 50% off. iPad tips and tricks, free video training tutorials, free links for you in this media's description. Train Simple Adobe Photoshop training bundle, 92% off. And the Surface 3 giveaway. Deals.lockergnome.com. In this morning's Periscope, and I'm inclined to use Periscope on a regular basis, daily sometimes as I'm drinking my coffee in the morning, I'll often just turn on the broadcast and do like impromptu AMAs. It is kind of fun to do, but Periscopes are ethereal, and you never really know what's going to happen. Sometimes I record bits and pieces and post them to my what's the account I use? Oh, my vlog. That's not my account. I sometimes I share clips into the vlog. I've been thinking about saving the Periscopes because they're vertical video, just so you know. The Periscopes are there's really no effective way of recording a horizontal video. You can, but Periscope's not optimized for it. So what I've thought about doing is saving the Periscopes locally and uploading them to be viewed after the fact, potentially for patrons or anybody who might be pledging at a crowdfunding level. Otherwise, they disappear in a day. Most of them I wouldn't say are worth watching again, but I had some gems. Someone asked today if I ever thought about bringing back the classic LockerGnome newsletter, and I've thought about it. I've thought about setting up some kind of crowdfunding campaign where on a monthly basis you can subscribe, $5 on up, and I would basically create the classic LockerGnome newsletter for people. I think it's worth doing. It's worth trying. I've thought about it. I have. I genuinely have. I'm waiting for a particular web resource to get back to me on a few bits of feedback that I have for them because I've identified a possible platform, and no, it's not Patreon. I wish that service would get better. Okay, so we've got the AMA, which means I'm going to jump into the Facebook post, though I don't really know where that Facebook post is outright. Give me a moment. I've got to find it. That's the beauty of web links as I click around to try to find what the hell it is that I'm looking for. There we go. Launching Facebook. The Facebook's the best place for me to pose the Ask Me Anything just about every single time, if only because a lot of people see it there. And I actually just did a Q&A video for the patrons talking about my beliefs about the future of blogging in relation to Google and Facebook in general, and I believe Facebook and Google are going to kill blogging. I really genuinely do. It's kind of already been happening in bits and pieces, and you've heard me talk about it at points in the past, but I think it's really something that, unfortunately, is going to happen sooner rather than later, and that doesn't mean that blogging is going to just stop. People will continue to blog, but in terms of its relevance and importance in the grander scheme of things, I think all of that is really what is changing, and I don't want to dive too deeply into even further reasoning because, as I said, I did that as a separate video specifically for the Super Gnomies. Okay, so it's Friday, which means it's the patrons who get priority. So I was thinking Facebook. Why was I thinking Facebook? Facebook's Monday. Man, it has been a crazy morning. This is what happens when Chris Pirillo wakes up at 5:30 in the morning. I was really up that early. Okay, let's pop over to Patreon. Sorry, people. I was not planning on being this unprepared. I was prepared for one thing and then completely forgot the other thing. Okay. Is it going to load now? It's taking forever. Man. Okay, I'm waiting for the webpage to load. And it's still loading because it didn't want to load before. I don't know why it's taking forever to load. It's a pretty simple webpage to load there, people. Maybe I will have to tune into the Periscope. I answered so many questions there this morning. I don't really have anything on my desk apart from my blue snaggletooth, which I only brought out because today, in the Force Friday countdown calendar, appropriately, May 22nd, is featured in this calendar, the Kenner Star Wars Creature Cantina playset. So, I never had that Cantina playset. This is not the one that had the blue snaggletooth inside. That was the Sears playset. But I went looking for my classic purple snaggletooth, the one that everybody knows about, or most people would have had in their collection, the purple snaggletooth. I don't have the purple snaggletooth. This kind of shocked me. I was really kind of blown away. I'm like, where was it? I've lost a lot of my vintage figures, which does make me sad. But I do have the blue snaggletooth, which I'm happy about. I'm happy that this blue snaggletooth is in way better condition. Okay. That's the thing that I was talking about while I wait for this darn website to load. Okay, so iSheep got posted. That's great. Let's find the Ask Me Anything. If I can find the Ask Me Anything prompt. Boy, am I the only one having issues today? Okay, ask. Patreon is just sometimes not easy to use. Okay, so no, that's not what I was looking for. Is that what I was looking for? I can't see it. Is this it? I think this is it. Dang, man. Things that would have been great to be prepared for that I apparently was not. Okay, I'll do a better job next time. Sorry, I've got. You might wonder what the hell happened, but the what the. Oh no, that's not it either. Okay, where is it then? It's. Oh, there it is. I think this is it. No. Yes, that's it. Okay, found it. You might ask, well, Chris, don't you have people who help? I do, but Liz is really helping with Gnome Decks and Vlogger Fair right now. And Bob is currently in shifting with his responsibilities as well. So yes and no. I should have been better prepared for this. I apologize. Okay, so now we are ready to answer questions now that I've wasted a colossal amount of time. Earl Green, and that is totally my fault. My bad. Earl Green asks, by adding these features, is Spotify in danger? The new feature Spotify added, videos and playlists. Is Spotify in danger of eventually going down the same road as iTunes? Wouldn't it be better for them to stick to what they do best? And no, I don't think that this is going to be a problem for Spotify. In fact, I think it enhances Spotify's position. A lot of people use Spotify anyway, and they're listening to things. What Spotify lacks, by and large, is a lot of spoken content. So they've got music. They're known for music, but what about all that spoken content? If anything's got me excited, or I guess re-excited, for doing podcasts separately, it's the fact that Spotify has support for them, and that's kind of exciting. Now, I don't even know if our podcast is currently available in Spotify. But I've considered, if it works well and, it's going to get a lion's share of attention, I've thought about doing separate types of podcasts, knowing full well that people use iTunes and their own podcatchers or whatever podcast client they use. But by and large, they're using Spotify to listen to content. They listen to content and they want to listen to things, and they're going to use Spotify. And if they already have it installed, then the hurdle is no longer there. Even with a podcast client pre-installed on iOS, knowing that they have it in Spotify and they can get to it from anywhere and they don't have to manage things, that's what makes Spotify, I guess, beautiful. So I thought about, yes, of course, TLDR. It is a podcast. It has been a separate podcast for a while. We use SoundCloud as the back end. What I would likely do is like a weekly show talking about family or daddy or relationship stuff, the more the personal side of things, but under that umbrella. And then I thought about actually doing a Star Wars podcast too, if only because there are a lot of the more popular Star Wars quote unquote channels out there are actually in podcasts. So I've thought about that. I really genuinely have, and so I'm very fascinated that Spotify made this move, and I think it's an important move for them to make because it's all about, for Spotify, aggregating that content and making it easy to manage. And this is something that Apple has not been able to crack. That's something that Google has not been able to crack. And Spotify has. And so it makes sense because, remember, they approach music like a subscription service. And so if they were to come forward and say, so they're doing video content, I would have no problem pushing video into Spotify if I knew what the value of pushing video into Spotify was. And this might be, an example of that might be, so every week I do like a Star Wars haul. Well, what if, instead of just uploading it to YouTube, what if I took that same video and added it as a video podcast for Spotify as a separate channel, or a separate podcast, in Spotify? Or I did the same thing with the Geek Hall. I had, a separate podcast, Geek Hall podcast. And, the value of doing that is making it easier, more convenient for people to actually get to it no matter where they happen to be, and Spotify makes that easier. So Spotify's base isn't music, it's subscription. So once you understand that, adding the feature video subscription, podcast subscription, anything subscription related, it's under Spotify's umbrella. It is not a diversification that is outside the realm of where it should be. iTunes is a completely different beast. Apple made iTunes everything because it kind of needed to. And unfortunately, I think the value of iTunes is long diminished. I it needs to die, or at least evolve to the point where iTunes becomes the music client and the management is basically external. So to watch videos in iTunes doesn't make sense. To watch or to manage your apps in iTunes doesn't make sense. To manage your iBooks or ebooks in iTunes doesn't make sense. So we already have an iBooks client, not just on iOS, but certainly on OS 10. But they're, I think, going to continue to remove these components from iTunes and then bring iTunes back to its original mission, and that is to, I guess, be that the junction point to help you manage your music. But it's a completely different beast. iTunes is a completely different beast than Spotify. And Spotify's in a better position to do what it's doing with video and podcasts, more so than iTunes. Way more so. Tony asks, question number 50. Is there a setting on the Apple Watch while working out to let you know you're in your target heart rate zone or not? Oh, that's a good question. After the update, I can tell you my exercise levels have plummeted. I think they reworked it, so I'm going to try walking Jedi to see if it actually works. There's no, to my knowledge, when I go to the workout app, and by the way, Tony, good question to ask. I posted something to Patreon today for all my patrons, Supernomies, to give me feedback on what you want to see in my Apple Watch review. What I'm likely going to do is record that Apple Watch review live to tape, possibly on Monday as the Q&A video, and then have that video edited for brevity, potentially, and then clipped down and then posted into my classic channel. Because some people want a shorter review, other people want a longer review, and I want to accommodate both people, both kinds of people with the same kind of content. So that's the goal, that's the direction. So if you want me to cover something else in the watch review, let me know. So if I launch this, then I know of it doesn't tell you your heart rate, because if I go other, I can set my goal from time to calories to open no goal. Oh, okay, the time, calories, that's it. I don't think I have a target heart rate option, but that'd be kind of neat. Although I guess with a successful workout isn't just keeping and maintaining a heart rate. It's a fluctuation. Your heart rate has to increase and then decrease and increase and decrease and increase and decrease. It's a constant flux that I guess is more powerful. So question number 51. When are you going to do an actual workout with actual sit-ups and push-ups and pushing your cardio into your target heart rate zone while sweating? Oh man, you're killing me. I've been meaning to get back onto the Gazelle, and I know I need to. Now that I've got the watch, I've got no excuse. I've got a fitness tracker. I think the general plan might be that I'm going to do it and I'm going to be working out, but to pass the time, what I may be doing is periscoping at the same time. That'd be kind of a neat idea. So I'll be periscoping. So I'll be live streaming my workouts, and that'll be my Periscope of the day. So that way I'm connecting with community and having fun and working out at the same time. Theoretically. I don't know if I'll be able to see chat, because it moves so quickly and it's very difficult to see. And, my primary goal is to kind of work out and make burn calories and work up a sweat. Question number 52. I do understand that you prefer a more tightly knit group than a large one, but for the sake of income, if the masses aren't coming your way, shouldn't you be inclined to gear yourself towards the masses, whether or not you enjoy doing so? Yes and no. In terms of changing what it is that I can do well, no. What it is that I do, I think I can do very well. For example, when I did the sponsored video for Polaroid, I talked about a gadget, which people might want. They'd be inclined to search for a gadget review on this gadget. That is a mass audience. It has mass appeal. Is it a top-selling gadget? Maybe not necessarily. But it was a sponsored post, and that was very clear, a sponsored post. So they came to me because they knew what I could do in video. And they knew that I had this kind of appeal for people that might be interested in the product. And I like the product, of course. So they said, we send this unit out for reviewers, but we've never really, ever seen a review as funny as yours. They've really enjoyed it from an entertainment standpoint. So I can do what I do well when it's geared towards something like that. Now, when I'm doing a live broadcast, it's more like a podcast, or at least I produce a TLDR, kind of more like a podcast. It's very talky. It's very long form. It's very long-winded in many cases. Are the masses inclined to listen to that? Maybe not necessarily. It's become that question of how much video do I produce? Where do I put that video? Do I stop doing TLDR? No, because the people who wanted it, they said they wanted it back, because I stopped doing it for a long time. They wanted it back, and so that's why we kicked up the patron program and then gave a benefit to everybody. So I'm not going to stop doing that because I've got supporters, and as long as I have supporters, I'm happy. That's the bottom line. If I have supporters, I am thrilled. And unfortunately, the type of content that I might want to talk about, I don't know if it has mass appeal. It has niche appeal, but I have a lot of topics that I might be well versed in, and so I've had to, be a little more careful in terms of how and where and when I produce the content. So, for example, the most mainstream content I've produced to this point that has had any kind of traction has nothing to do with tech. Usually the people who are interested in one thing or another are there to listen to the review and then they're gone. And even then, technology is so well covered, and there are a million opinions out there and a million reviews. So it's not that I wouldn't talk about topics that have mass appeal, but in doing the car reviews recently, that has been, quite honestly, it's been shocking to me. I don't want to be known as a car guy. Definitely not a car geek. I don't think I'm ever going to enjoy cars like some people enjoy cars. I enjoy talking about my experiences. And so that's what I do really well is I have an experience and I enjoy talking about it. But it's so broad. I mean, because I enjoy talking about bacon, or I enjoy talking about beer, or I enjoy talking about Star Wars, or I enjoy talking about a new gadget, or I enjoy talking about a new toy. How do I encapsulate that into who it is that I am and who it is that I'm communicating with? And some would say, well, narrow it, focus. I'm like, I'm focused on being myself. That's my focus. When you are the product, that's a greater challenge. And so when I know full well that I am the product, it's knowing that I've got to figure out how to find the people that, even if they knew who I was, aren't going to forget. And there's so much that goes on these days with content. Even your favorite producers likely get skipped because there's too much to pay attention to. Way too much. So then the question is how much do you actually put out there? Is less more? And that could very well be the case. Less is more. But that makes it much more important for the one thing that you do to be that much better. It's a challenge. It's a struggle. It's a frustration. And, it's caused me a massive amount of consternation. It's no longer about having one channel anymore. I have to have many channels. I have to, because I can't, even with the stuff that I produce in my classic YouTube channel, YouTube doesn't know where to classify me. If it's better to produce just one video a week in every one of your channels, well, then that's the direction I got to go, because it allows for greater attention for what it is that I'm producing, which is, people would be, I think, upset at me. I think if I produced a Star Wars only channel, they'd be upset. But here's the thing. If I only produced one video a week and posted it to that channel, the chances of those subscribers seeing it and appreciating it are greatly, it's higher. It's just like Pirillo vlogs. They're daily. My classic channel is a hodgepodge of a variety of things. And I don't know what's the best form of long-term content that I know I can produce on a regular basis that's consistent enough that people are going to enjoy, that people are going to appreciate, that people are going to value. And all these questions. I don't want to launch new channels. I don't. But unfortunately, the segmentation of the audience almost demands it. So not just because of mass appeal, but because of targeting of audience. Just because I'm interested in something doesn't mean everybody's interested in something. That's the greater problem, especially when you get shoved into a hole in terms of traditional constructs, like YouTube or anywhere else. So anyway, I have appealed to the masses over time, but my approach to technology is not going to be something that it has any kind of mass appeal, apart from them wanting to know advice. What I know is something that they don't know, which is different from the people that might know the things that I know. That's community. The things that I know. The people who might value my advice, that's the masses. That's the 99%. and getting to them on a regular basis, they're not going to subscribe because they don't care. They don't. Technology is a destination or an enabler for them. It's not a destination. For the community, technology might be the destination. For the average viewer, the masses, that is it's a completely different galaxy. So all right, there's the answer to that question. Question number 53. Have you heard of the Tesla Powerwall? Interested? Yeah, it looks fascinating to me. Of course, I'm fascinated with anything that might save money over time. It's still so brand new and kind of expensive that I don't think it's necessarily something that I would be inclined to get. But if it's something that pushes the ball forward in terms of energy consumption and retention, and certainly savings and eco-friendly energy, so thinking through where it sits in the grand scheme of things, looks awesome. On the surface, it looks amazing, but over time, it's probably going to get more affordable, more accessible, more acceptable, and so I'm excited to know where it's going. 10 years from now, yeah, I think something like that, will start to become a lot more mainstream. It's kind of like, light bulbs, for example. For years, we were using, decades, using classic incandescent bulbs with filament. Well, then, energy savings bulbs came along and we were using CFL bulbs. And these worked and they were energy efficient, but they're very not very friendly, not very safe, and especially if you broke them, they do contain mercury. But LEDs weren't powerful enough, they weren't affordable enough, and so over time, now we've gotten to the point where if you hadn't considered it, you might consider replacing all your bulbs with LEDs. I mean, CFLs are pretty much on their way out. Incandescents are not illegal that I know of, but they're well on their way. I can think of this would be an example of a great video to record. 7 reasons why now is the right time to move to LED bulbs. That's 7 reasons. I can think of 7 reasons. Maybe not immediately off the top of my head, but I bet you anything I can think through it. 7 reasons why now is the right time to move to LED bulbs over incandescents and CFLs. Now that would be a good video to produce in my classic channel. It would have broad appeal, but still also appeal to the core. But I just don't want it to get mixed up with too many other things. It's very difficult to do, very difficult to manage, very frustrating to have so many things that I want to do that I don't have enough places to put it in. It's maddening. It's absolutely maddening to me. Steve Mannering. I noticed that when watching YouTube videos on my iPad Air 2 via Safari, I don't have the option to change the video quality to 1080p even though the iPad exceeds that resolution. Any idea why? Yeah, YouTube, the support, it's not adaptive enough. It's really a limitation, I think, really in YouTube, in terms of, your iPad can support it, but if the app or even the website to a certain degree is only streaming a certain quality, it could be an artificial throttling, thinking that your computer can't necessarily handle it. And the iPad is a computer. So it's not about the resolution of your screen. It's really about an app limitation, potentially a bandwidth limitation. It might be able to, recognize, you've got ample bandwidth to stream in a 1080p file. But then again, it could fall back on, a safer bet for streaming and going with a lower resolution, if only to keep the streaming going. Because the worst thing that can happen when you're watching a video is that it kind of chunks along. That's bad. So it could be for a lot of different reasons. Codec playing into it, platform playing into it, and certainly the app or any kind of artificial restrictions or limitations could play into it as well. Clay Hutchins, it's a pleasure as a patron watching unedited behind-the-scenes production of your videos. This is hilarious. Hang on. Han? She just texted me. Han? Hang on, let me... Oh, Jedi's probably asleep. She wanted a link to Vlogger Fair. It's on my watch. There's the text from Diana. So, it's vloggerfair.eventbrite.com. That's where the tickets are. Link to that. Okay, back to Clay's question. Often, you redo a take several times to complete a thought. While I think the first pass sounded perfectly, something compels you to redo the take, and often the decision is quick on the fly. Just curious, what is your thought process when making videos, and what prompts you to redo a take when it seemed otherwise to be a good take? Thanks for sharing. there are times that the first take is the best take, but I feel like at that point I want to say something different, or I know where I want to go next, or I feel I could say it better, or I feel that my eyes were looking in an odd direction. So in many ways, much like when I write, as I'm doing a video that's shot with the intention on being edited, I have a different thought process. This is something that someone picked up on Periscope this morning. They said, "Wow, Chris, this is not the YouTube Chris that I know," because so this is me live, right? This is my tone when I'm talking live, and yeah, I'm having a direct conversation with you. It's we're sitting across the table for one another. But let's just say, for argument's sake, I'm talking about the Bosk 6-inch Black Series figure that Dorkside Toys sent me. So I might say something like this. This is Bosk, and he's got a costume. This is Bosk, and his uniform may look familiar to you if you happen to be a Whovian. Yes, this very uniform showed up in Doctor Who! So my tone is different, because it's going to be edited, it's going to be upbeat. But I said something the first time, but I didn't feel like I said it the right way, and I wanted to say uniform instead of costume, and I knew what I wanted to say, and so I might take that further, and then the next clip might be, doesn't he look amazing for a Trandoshan? It's Trandoshan, right? Trandoshan? Trandoshan. I've never actually said that aloud. I'd probably be corrected by a lot of Star Wars nerds. So, I have a different tone. I'm more upbeat. Now you might ask, well, why aren't you more upbeat with live? Well, sometimes I am. If I get antsy about something, I am. But I know it's that much more important to be punchy and pithy when the video's intended on being edited. My car reviews now are being done, and they're almost shot live to tape like this. They're shot with I'm usually very toned down, but I know that the video is going to be edited. But when it comes to a product, I feel like having that tone really sets the flow and would hopefully keep people tuned in. But it's a different approach to a different kind of video. So I feel that I could say things better. I feel that I could present things better. I also see, this is the thing. It's not just what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. It's where the hang on. Hun, what are you? I'm doing a live stream. She's getting okay, hun, it's vloggerfair.eventbrite.com. I'm in the middle of TLDR right now. I love you. Done. Man. She said, "Oh, I can't stop, and give me 3 minutes, hun. Just 3 minutes. Let me finish my broadcast." Actually, I've got a little longer than 3 minutes to go because I kind of wasted time, and I'm sorry for doing that. So anyway, sometimes it's all about position of product. So let's say if I was holding up Bosk like this and I saw the reflection of the light, dang it, I want to reshoot it. So then I'll tilt it, and so you don't get the reflection. So I basically have to restate the line the way that I wanted to state it. So I see things, I hear things, I say things, and all those things have to come together into a perfect take. And so I'm not just listening to what I say, I'm seeing what I say in the preview, and also hearing it in my own head. Like, how's that going to sound? Did I say that the right way for people to understand what it was that I'm saying? Oh, she can't listen right now. Hey, hang on just a second. My wife wants me to text her back. So I am doing TLDR right now. I am doing TLDR right now. It's vloggerfair.eventbrite.com. Now everybody knows the registration link for Vlogger Fair. We don't have a registration link for Gnome Decks yet. Chris asks Mitchell C. McClendon, will you be upgrading your current MacBook Pro to the one using the new Force touchpad technology? Apple also upgraded the iMac with a 5K display as well. How much further do you see the 5K going? If anything, I think Apple's going to increase the resolution and, of course, increase the speed. No, there's nothing really compelling about upgrading to the new MacBook or, of course, iMac. I think I'd wait another 3 years or so before upgrading either one, and even then, the iMac may hold up longer than that. It's not the desktop computer or the laptop computer, not easily turned over. They lose a lot of value once you have them, and quite honestly, I don't see the increments as dramatically different It's just too expensive. The cost is just too great. Now with a smartphone or a tablet, to me, they're a bit more affordable, easier to recoup costs on, and the incremental features that are usually bundled in are valuable to me. Better camera, faster, dramatically faster processor, potentially, or other certain features that they might have in an iPad or an iPhone, or any one of those types of technologies. So I'm not planning on any upgrades anytime soon. I'm still on a 3-year cycle for the classic types of computers. Brian H. Wow, almost missed it this week. Oh, I'm glad you didn't. Hey, Chris, you spoke on Wednesday about Spotify for a little bit, and it got me thinking. I'm a Spotify premium user at the student rate of $5 a month. For anybody else that didn't know about that deal, here's the link. Oh, you go to spotify.com/us/students. Cool. I had heard some rumors about Apple trying to kill Spotify to clear the way for a relaunch of some Beats by Dre streaming service. Sounds like an example of the big guy swinging his weight around, taking out the little guy, if you ask me. The question I have regarding Spotify is this. Do you think, from a business technological point of view, Spotify could weather the storm if Apple came after them? I can't imagine my life without Spotify, and at risk of proving the other side right, I can't imagine having to purchase entire albums and individual songs of my 5,000 starred songs. That would get a little expensive. As usual, thanks for the input. I think Spotify could weather the storm, if only because Spotify is not inherently on one platform. iTunes, or I guess Apple's approach, is likely going to be relegated to the world of Apple, and Android retain the ability to stream because there was the Beats service on Android that existed before. Spotify is just, obviously it's different in just about every single way. We talked about it at length earlier. But the value of what Spotify has is different from the value of what Apple has. Apple might have had their iTunes Music subscription service, or what do they call it? iTunes Plus, or their iTunes Radio. But did this kill Pandora? No, hardly. Pandora still did a better job. I find Pandora does the best job in terms of online radio. It beats Spotify, it beats iTunes Radio, it beats every other music streaming service that I've tried, like radio type of service. Spotify sucks at it. Pandora is just the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, Apple's going to be the default, right? But I don't think that it's going to hurt Spotify if Spotify continues to innovate, if they make it easier for you to get to what it is that you want to get to, wherever it is that you want to get to it. There's not enough pain point in Spotify to get people to leap away from Spotify. Apple could be competitive in pricing, but they ran into hurdles with that. It could be a bit predatory if they made it so low that people ended up jumping because of price. I think if anything's going to allow them to compete, it shouldn't be in price. It should be in features. Can Apple do a better job than Spotify? It's completely up to Apple. I'm fine with sticking with Spotify at this point in time. Would I end up switching to an Apple streaming service? It depends. I really like the idea of my subscriptions being managed through Spotify more so than subscriptions managed through Apple, because Apple typically has not done a really good job with that at all. And I haven't liked the way that Apple's managed those things. There's always going to be room for third-party apps, but are they going to increase competition? Absolutely, but that's good. We need a Spotify to make Apple better. We need a Google to make Apple better. This is not a situation where if Apple releases a service, everything else is going to die, because, hell, Apple's got a lot of services they launched after other services existed, and those other services did not die. They got more attention, as a matter of fact. So, take it for whatever it's worth, but no, I think it's going to increase competition, but I don't think Spotify is going to disappear anytime soon. Joe Tashi asks, does your Apple Watch tell you if you've taken a lot of steps after your live streams? Oh, sorry. After your live stream, since I know you use your hands when you talk, just curious. I have calories, I have exercise, and I have move, or get up and movements. Let me check my overall stats for steps. I don't know if it's tracking steps, honestly. Is it tracking? Where's it tracking steps? There we go. Total steps. Okay, so right now it's 2,621. I don't know if it's taking another step. I'll keep it on this screen to see if it is, and I'll try to use my hands a lot for the remainder of the video, which I realize it's a long video, but as I said, I kind of wasted time earlier, so we'll find out. Joe also asks, will you try combos caramel and vanilla frosting? Never heard of it, but sure, I'll try anything once. Also, what about beef sticks? Do you get, what beef sticks do you get? You've shown them in a workshop tour a few years back. You know, honestly, I don't get beef sticks on a regular basis. Don't even get jerky on a regular basis. I like trying new things on a regular basis. There's some good beef sticks that Diana's parents get from Texas. Homemade, not mass-produced, and they actually have better flavor, richer flavor. I like the ones that are a bit juicier, not necessarily the ones that are dry. I don't have any beef sticks that I know of in my workshop, hidden anywhere. I open a drawer like 5 years from now, and like there's huge mold growing or whatever. That'd be horrible. So I don't have any brand beef sticks that I stick to necessarily. My favorite beef jerky of all time, and that's thanks to Richard Wooding, is Biltong from Bloody Lecker. The Bloody Lecker Biltong. Oh, it's amazing. It is epic. Steve Mannering, and he's got the last question here. If you ever find something you think I need to know about, show me. He's linking off to it. It's not hyperlinked. Oh, chocolate chip cookie s'mores. Those look kind of fun. Hey, I'll try anything once. Life's too short not to try new things all the time. And, you know, even the older I get, the more I understand that's so important to do. Okay, so I moved my arms around a lot. Let's see how the exercise app says. 26:21. So there you go. So it didn't count. Oh, 26:52. Never mind. So it thought I was taking steps. There's your answer to the question. If you're Italian, that's going to be awesome for you. The pedometer. I'm not taking steps, but apparently this moving arms is like taking steps, I guess, in the Apple Watch's eyes, quote unquote. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your time, attention, your questions. Thanks again for remembering to comment, like, share, subscribe. Share the videos is very important. I'll underline or underscore that word share. I'm going to roll into the Patreon Hangout, and I think we have just a general tech talk. It's just really a contingent on what everybody wants to talk about today. I don't have an agenda as far as that goes. I really like spending time like that, and people kind of get to ask me questions directly. Kind of get behind the scenes of what's going on, what's in my head, what's happening, hey Seattle, what's new, what's happening? Isn't that what he said? Niles Crane. Am I the only one who watches Frasier? I probably am, and I still love that show. I need my Frasier on a regular basis. I really do. Thanks again, everybody. I do appreciate your time, but at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.